This is a bit strange that you weren't involved with the planning of the arrival of the convoy. The information was also on the website. It's your mandate to keep parliamentarians safe, and they have no notes to provide. Here's the clip.
Monsieur Carignan.
5 minutes for Mr. Carignan. Thank you. My question will be to Mr. Broxson. Did you have discussions with the Ottawa Police and the RCMP before the arrival of the convoy and after the arrival of the convoy?
Yes. I had several conversations with both the RCMP and 3 conversations with the Ottawa Police Service, 2 directly with Chief Slowly during the occupation.
Okay.
And what was the content or the nature of these discussions? Before and after the arrival. After the arrival of the convoy, it was about coordinating the security measures that we were putting in place to make sure that all parliamentaries will be safe.
With Chief Slowly, it was conversations on just where we might be at with rectifying the issue, which I saw witnessed every day on Wellington Street, and that was my conversations with him.
Okay.
Were you part of the Integrated Command Center?
So we had representation at the NCRCC. To be clear, the NCRCC was more of a coordination and not the Critical Incident Command. That was a piece that was created, I think, the 3rd week or 2.5 weeks in, and that was between the OPP, the RCMP, and the Ottawa Police Service.
Okay.
On the 12th of February, Ottawa Police let us know through their website that they had a plan to clear the streets of Ottawa. Are you aware of this plan?
No, I was not.
Okay.
So you did not take part in the drafting of any plan to liberate the streets, tow away the trucks, and... No, not at all. These were discussions between police services, but the PPS was not involved. This is a bit strange that you were not aware, that you did not take part in this. Did you ask to have a bigger presence in these meetings, in these committees? Because, after all, it is in your principal mandate to protect the parliamentarians, so it's a bit interesting that you were not part of this.
Operations were governed and driven out by the policing partners and not the service.
I know it's not your service, but you were almost the client in all this. You were a bit of a victim as well. You were not being consulted on the methods and the tools. And during the testimony of Ms. Lacroix, she was saying that she was not informed about the declaration of the Emergencies Act, or before it was done, so you weren't consulted and you were not advised, you were not informed of it.
Oui.
You have right. Yes, you are right. Mr. Carignan.
The question, sir.
Parfait, c'est gentil.
Okay, that was very kind. Thank you. Can you let us know if you had any discussions with the 2 speakers on the eventual or possible declaration of the Emergencies Act? Did you have any discussions with the speakers of the Senate and the House of Commons?
Pour le Sénat.
For the Senate, we briefed the Speaker, Larry, and myself. but only within our capacity of maintaining access to parliamentarians. And we provided our recommendations. We sent instructions of not showing up to the Senate during police operations. But if you did not have any communications at the operations center and communications didn't seem to exist, how did you do that coordination then?
That we decouple being involved with the definement of the operation and then how the operation is going to roll out. So obviously when the tactical plan was being put together by the policing partners, they did keep us informed as to what those plans were going to be. And it was with that information that we kept both administrations apprised. And again, to Ms. Lacroix's point, just to ensure that any of the impact of the safe arrival or departure of our parliamentarians was always our collective objective throughout this period.
And that does conclude the 5 minutes with the additional time, Monsieur Carignan.
Mr. Bruxon, you were saying that you tried to reach Mayor Watson, Mayor of Ottawa. Can you tell us when was this, the date, and why did you try to reach him?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I don't recall the specific date, but the call I requested to have with him was in the response of opening back up Wellington Street and escorting the trucks back up onto Wellington.
Okay.
So you were not satisfied with the Ottawa Police Service and you wanted to increase the pressure? Because I used to be a mayor in another life, and when people came to me, it was because they were not satisfied with something, with the services. So was it because you're insatisfied when it comes to the policing, the police services, that you wanted to reach out to Mayor Watson?
My concern when it started was the amount of vehicles already established on Wellington Street, and that was the first weekend. During the first weekend, there started to be some removal of vehicles that were leaving overnight. So my discussions led with PSPC and the security partners to start establishing jersey barriers, because what I didn't want to see happen was a backfill of those vehicles that on their own initiative decided to leave. The decision by the city to, I guess, alleviate an issue in the suburbs or wherever, to let the vehicles come and just completely jam up Wellington Street was a big concern for me. Reason why I tried to reach out to the mayor.
Donc,
So you were not in agreement with the intervention strategy of the Ottawa Security Services or Ottawa Police at that point in time?
You, Mr. Chair, my responsibility is just to secure the precinct. And so my responsibility is also to take into consideration all factors. And this was one key factor that was a heightened concern for me, and we had to respond accordingly.
donc,
So you were not on the same page. You did not agree with them. You can say it.
Yeah, correct.
parfait.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You did have 30 seconds left, Monsieur Carignan. I don't want to shorten
No,
the
ça
time.
va.
I would like to do that.
No
Mr.
problem.
Carignan, the floor is yours for 5 minutes, sir.
OK, mais je peux donner.
I can give 2 minutes to Senator if she has questions.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Ah, OK, parfait.
Okay, perfect. Would it be possible to have notes? Because I'm surprised, because I was thinking that all three of you were taking daily notes on the activities of the day, on what was going on, what happened in the day throughout the night, that you were receiving reports, situation reports, that you had meetings between the three of you. You had meetings with police services, the RCMP, OPP, Ottawa Police. There were certainly notes that were made during these meetings because you had exchanges, email exchanges, again, between these partners. and also with different departments, with the City of Ottawa. So for all three of you, would it be possible to have copies of these exchanges and these minutes of the meetings and daily notes on the evolving situation?
Through you, Mr. Chair. What I can speak to is at the NCRCC, as well as our crisis management center that was stood up throughout the entire period here, that all the discussions and decisions were scribed, which means that notes were taken throughout those two. So that's something that we can look forward to provide to the committee.
OK, parfait.
Okay, perfect. And the email exchanges between yourselves and the different police services and yourselves and the City of Ottawa or the Mayor's office?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Again, the only thing that I'd be in a position to be able to provide the committee were dates and times that I had verbal telephone conversations.
OK,
Okay. So the same for our two other witnesses, Mr. McDonald and Ms. Lacroix.
I'm not sure how many notes, emails I've generated during that event. I will verify exactly how many there are, and before saying yes to your question, I will consult with the Office of the Law Clerk and Legal Counsel of the House of Commons.
parfait.
Perfect. And Ms. Lacroix?
Consulter
Will you consult the same offices at the Senate? Yes, exactly. Okay, perfect. I have a question for Mr. Broxson. I'm looking into your expertise. I went on your LinkedIn page. I'm really impressed by your experience and your expertise in the field of operations especially. So the Emergencies Act, what did it provide in addition, according to you? Because you had good ideas when it comes to intervening, blocking certain streets. From an operations point of view, you have a certain idea about what could have been or should have been done. So the Emergencies Act, from an operational point of view, didn't provide much additional capacity to help free or liberate the street.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I can only speak to what my responsibility is for the Parliamentary Protective Service, in that we're not a policing entity, and therefore the evocation of the Emergencies Act provided no additional authority for me. With respect to what it may have provided to either the Ottawa Police Force or the RCMP, that would be best to them to respond to.
OK.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much.
J'ai plus de questions.
I have no more questions.